I don't know how I wanted to start this episode, so I'll just read you this quote that I've been sitting on for a little bit, okay? It says, "It's just another example of people wanting the wisdom without the invoice." And I want you to think about how many times in life there have been relationships or things that you have committed to where your worth was the currency, okay? You paid for that relationship with your worth. You paid for that relationship with your self esteem. Okay. You paid for that relationship with your ability to trust yourself. Something I want to just start by prefacing and also putting out there. When it comes to this relationship we have with the universe or things that are bigger than us or the powers that be, I want you to stop seeing that or those things as testing you, conspiring against you, and instead hearing you in a very literal way. If I am saying that I know my worth and that I want more intentional relationships, I will get that. But if I am also backsliding in older patterns, okay, and I'm still fixated on things that I fear happening, and I put a lot more energy into that, I'm also going to get that. Anything that we are communicating energetically, also verbally, we will receive. The universe is a very literal listener. And I think I've experienced that recently where my energy has been in such this space where it's like, what do I want to continue to entertain? What do I want to continue to invest in? What kind of investments am I looking for on the receptive end? Interpersonal relationships, professionally, what does that look like? And then that quote that I read to you guys, right, is just another example of people wanting the wisdom without the invoice. Sometimes what we think is for us, we fail to realize will require us to not be ourselves in that space. Okay? And I'll apply this to in our friendships, our relationships, okay? Not just professionally, but where it becomes this thing of you have to be someone else in order to get that thing. And being someone else means that you probably have to be less of yourself. Sometimes our worth is in question when we don't realize that we can receive what it is that matches and aligns with us without us bargaining. And truth be told, a lot of times we're on the receptive end of people who also know our value, but they don't have the integrity or even willingness to pay up. And pay up doesn't always mean monetary, although that can be a part of it. Paying up can also look like just a sense of value, a sense of reciprocation, okay? A sense of effort, a sense of reciprocity, a sense of respect. When you are unsure about how you want to lean, when you are unsure about what you want to keep in life, you are going to get everything. You are going to get everything that you want, and you're probably going to get a lot more things that you are also fearful of losing. And sometimes our fear of loss or our fear of the unfamiliar, our fear of not having control will force us to exist in spaces and dynamics that we're frustrated by. Now, recently I've just been processing a bunch. I've been taking a look at how certain dynamics have been playing out. Okay, I've been taking a look at the conversations I've been having. I've been taking a look at the exchanges I've had. And it all comes back to this understanding of, are you going to change yourself to be in these spaces that are clearly unsure about how they want to value you? They clearly understand what you offer. They clearly understand what you can show up with. They recognize that. But are you willing to be in a space that is unclear about whether or not they want to treat you properly? And a lot of times people readily say no, hey, I know my worth, etc. But then certain things seem tempting. Okay, is this going to move me further along? Or, is this an opportunity that I could potentially miss out on if I say no? Am I going to be ridiculed or rejected if I say no? Like, what happens to me if I say no to these things that don't align with me feeling good? And I've also been thinking about this process in terms of, casual relationships versus intentional relationships. I was having a talk with a very good friend of mine, and we were just sitting down, and we were talking about the casualness that a lot of people have when it comes to very intentional relationships. And I realized I was like, yeah, I can't be casual. I don't know how to do casual. And they go, well, it condenses your pool of relationships. It condenses the dynamics that you exist in. And I said to them, I was like, well, that's actually a blessing. Because for me, my capacity for relationships as a whole is very limited. And I know how much I'm willing to pour into my relationships. So therefore, there's not a need for a lot. So casual relationships don't seem like a loss. Okay, not having them doesn't seem like a loss for me. And the funny thing is a lot of people want to be casual when it comes to them committing, but they want you to be very intentional when it comes to them. And I've experienced that on so many levels, right? Where somebody may approach me and they want all that I have to offer. Okay, they see how it can benefit them, they see what it can do for them. But in return, there's not really a desire for them to show up and reciprocate that, right? They want to be casual on their end, and their expectation is that I should align with that. I should be okay with their casualness, but I should commit with a certain level of conviction that takes care of them. Every time you say yes to something that is not aligned with you, that is a no to yourself. You know, self-rejection. The funny thing is, the more you start leaning into what you actually desire and the more disciplined you are about that, there will be reminders along the way of what you're walking away from. Whether it be old relationships, whether it be old habits. Again, certain things seem enticing, like this might be another step in the right direction. But a good indicator of whether or not something is for you is how unclear it feels in your body, how unclear it feels in your mind's eye. Because sometimes we will commit to relationships or things out of niceness, out of the hope that, oh, this could benefit me, or these could potentially work out if I just stay long enough. And then the longer you stay, the longer the transgressions go on, the longer you feel undesirable, the longer you feel taken advantage of. And nothing ever really changes. And then you try to adjust to that. But we need to understand the longer we stay in spaces that are not taking care of us, the harder it will be for us to trust ourselves moving forward, the harder it will be for us to navigate healthy relationships moving forward, the harder it will be for us to just simply recognize the difference between something that is good for us and something that is familiar to us. All because we were willing to stay in something longer than we should have. And sometimes it is disappointing when you learn the truth or you accept a truth about certain dynamics and certain people. Okay? And you ask yourself, well, what do I do now? Okay, what do I do with this information? Well, what do you want to do with it? That's always a great question. Okay, sometimes people will ask me, well, you know, I have this situation, so what do I do? Or this person continually let me down. What should I do about it? You just answered your own question. And if a person's continually letting you down, how are you showing up for yourself from this dynamic that you continue to show up? See, a lot of times it's not always other people who are disappointing us as much as we are inviting them into that space. And if you can understand that, you can pivot a lot sooner. All right? And as you are growing, as you are committing to being more intentional, yes, certain things will be revisited. The reason why is because it's like you're packing a bag, right? And you're seeing, hey, do I actually need this outfit? Or is it something I'm just used to wearing? Does it feel comfortable? I know I can fit into it. It's just a throwaway outfit, so I can take this with me. Versus actually understanding, does this need to be in my bag? All right. Sometimes we will have a reveal or a truth about certain things and people. And sometimes it's a truth that we already know, so we're probably not even that bothered by it. Okay? And we will still continue to show up, potentially, or we'll be confused, or we'll be slightly disappointed. However, if you said, again, going back to the beginning, I know my worth and I want more relationships and dynamics that reflect that, well, you were meeting things that you're usually willing to take along with you that probably can't go this time. So the question becomes, what am I willing to commit to? Is this actually who I am, or is this how I'm posturing? What am I fearful of? Sometimes people know exactly what you offer. But if you show up in a space where it's not clear what they want to offer in return, then that is probably not for you. You know, there's this thing of like people telling you, oh, you're such a good listener, or I just love your energy, or I love how you show up. That's great. I love how I show up too. What have they shown you in return? Don't get so caught up in what somebody tells you that you already know about yourself. What work are they doing on their end to make sure that they nurture that? You have to be mindful when you are committing to certain things. What is the currency? What does it cost you? And if you have a price tag on your self-worth, then other people are always going to look for a discount. And if you're always willing to cut corners, well, you're going to get those kinds of relationships in return. Stop thinking that you have to be nice to people who are not kindly recognizing your worth and also willing to nurture it. If you fear being rejected and you lean into rejection, okay, that's something to examine. But I want you to remember, the more you commit to this idea that you want better for yourself, first off, focus on what it is that you say you want and mean it. And don't lean into fear so much, because that will come up too. I want you to ask yourself, do I want casual connections? Do I want more intentional connections? And am I a casual person? And if I am casual, well, what is that? Is it to prevent me being perceived as demanding? Is it to prevent me from feeling like I am too much, I'm too needy, okay, or I'm too demanding? Like, what is that? And what has it gotten me in the process? The more intentional you become about the life you want to have, the more life will respond to you in such a way and show you, hey, this is what you say you want, right? I got you. Oh, you want this too? Okay, cool. Oh, you want this too? Okay. But what do you actually have room for? Remember, sometimes people see exactly what you are worth and they still can't afford you. It is not your job to come down in price, especially if you work to be at a certain standard. Whenever I start recognizing changes, I get really quiet. Okay, I get quiet in my body, if you will. My mind is loud, but I get very quiet in my body. My energy gets a little bit more condensed, okay? And it's like a conference call that I'm having with myself. And this call can last for a couple of days. Sometimes it can last for a week, especially if there are certain things that are happening in between that time. And lately, that's what's been taking place. When you know what you are worth, there will be a lot more things that come up in the process. And you get to choose what you take along with you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take inventory. And take flight.